Welcome to Prince Jordan House. Exercise number 69 and 70. Sir Kailash Chandra. 160 words a minute. Total 1680 words. Be ready? Start. Mr. Deputy Chairman, I thought I should rise to support the point put forward by the Honorable Mr. Konjuru, but my honorable friend from Hyderabad has said certain things which I had better deal with first. He has attacked more or less the whole system of election in India. He has talked of indirect election and so on. I am afraid he has gone far beyond the scope of the bill, and I do not think that needs an answer at all. As regards the question of preparing electoral rolls, I think there is ample power vested in the Election Commission to order the preparation of a regular electoral roll if the Election Commission considers it necessary for any extraordinary reasons such as a large exodus from one place to another and things of that kind. Otherwise, as the honorable member himself said, it is such a vast country and such huge numbers are involved that I think it would be really an unnecessary burden on the resources of the state to launch upon the preparation of electoral rolls every year. The same purpose could be served by revising the electoral rolls every year as per the directions given by the Election Commission as well as the rules laid down for the purpose. In a democracy, one of the prerequisites for its success is vigilance, and I think it would be quite in order to expect the people of various parties to interest themselves in the revision of these electoral rolls. In fact, that is an obligatory task of the citizens, and it only helps to create greater awareness and alertness on the part of the different parties. There was another point made by my honorable friend to which I should like to refer. He referred to false personation. I am not going to deny it. Absolutely, there might have been some false personation, but to say that it was the Congress that resorted to false personation and that all other parties were paragons on virtue and were angels dropped from heaven is simply absurd. That he should have had the boldness to venture such a reckless statement, I should say a responsible statement, without any proof whatever, was wholly unfair on his part of the Congress, and it is no credit to this august house that one of its members should make such an allegation against the opposition parties. Sir, my purpose is more to appreciate the stand taken by my honorable friend Shri Konjuru. I do not know. It is for the honorable minister to say whether even now as the clause stand it would not be open to the election commission to review the order of the chief electoral officer made in appeal against an order of the electoral registration officer. I have an idea that the election commission is supreme in these matters, that even when there is an appeal from the electoral registration officer to the chief electoral officer and the chief electoral officer passes an order, though it may be final in the ordinary sense, it does not preclude the election commission from analyzing that order. I would like to enlighten on this point. If the honorable minister in charge of this bill says that the order in appeal of the chief electoral officer over an order of the electoral registration officer is final and it is not open to the election commission to set it right, then I beg humbly to differ from such a stand, and I think that is a lacuna which should be made up. So I would like the honorable minister to apply his mind to this aspect and see that in no case the supreme authority of the election commission in this matter, which is of vital importance, is in the least abridged or curtailed. I think a slight amendment to clause 23 would set right the whole matter. There is only one other remark which I wish to make before I conclude, and that is with regard to clause 25 on page 8. It enjoys on every local authority an obligation to make available to the electoral registration officer such staff as may be necessary for the performance of any duties in connection with the preparation and revision of electoral rolls. While with the knowledge that we have of these, local authority may fail to make available to the electoral registration officer the staff that he wants. Now, what is the remedy if the local authority does not meet that obligation? If it does not choose to make available the requisite staff that has not been provided for in the bill, it is open to the Honorable Minister to devise some means to meet such a contingency. But I think a clause like this would be very helpful. That will be some kind of an inducement to the local authority to provide the staff. That is all that I have got to say, and I will no longer tire the house. Next para. Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, I am obliged to the House for the general support this measure has received. I would like to clear up one or two points. I would begin by saying that this act, when it was passed and as it stands only on the statute book, is intended only to regulate and control industries. Its purpose is not to take over the ownership of industry. For that we have got other measures, that other methods to follow. The limited purpose here is this: what whenever industries appear to be going wrong, and whenever because of the mismanagement or bad management public interest is affected or production has gone down, in such cases there is provision for government to take them over for a period and manage them. Now it has been found in many cases that we have taken over and managed them well. I would like to point out that there are many very good examples where industries which a little while ago were going down have prospered under government management and control, and in this period the government has never used its power indiscriminately. In all these years, 12 undertakings were taken over and then handed back. 7 undertakings are today under the management of the government. One of the undertakings which is today under government management and which has occasioned this measure was in a rather bad way when government took it over about 7 years ago, and the government within the initial 5-year period of management improved its finances. Its profits have gone up, its reserves have gone up. The concern has considerably improved, but then it was again thought that it has to be continued under proper management, and government are of the opinion that this management has to continue. If the existing law remains as it is today, there is no course open to the government but to hand it back to the shareholders. This is one of the reasons why this measure has been brought forward before this House, because the law as it stands today does not permit more than one extension of such management. So I think that clears the point which was raised by some of my friends. There is nothing like unlimited extension. This act is not meant for government to virtually take over industries and continue indefinitely in control of them. I am in sympathy with some of the views expressed. It is true that we should take responsibilities which we should be able to discharge well, and I think even the most critical members will be satisfied that we have taken such responsibilities very selectively and discharged them well. It may be that there are certain concerns which were really beyond redemption, yet we have been making a sort of effort, and that effort is well worth it. Now take the case of India Electric Works. Even as a working concern, it is still in bad shape. The government were compelled to take it over because otherwise it had to close down, and a large number of workers were to be thrown out of employment. That was one of the reasons why we took it over. But then we cannot go on taking indefinitely such responsibility at the cost of the taxpayers' money. There is a limit to it. And what is the limit to such cases? My only intention is that to the best of its capacity, whatever it possible, the government should try to bring about improvements, and this provision of one extension alone should not stand in the way. Therefore, the amending bill gives powers to the government to extend control by periods of 2 years at a time, by not more than 10 years in all, after the expiry of the initial period of 5 years. In that period, it is supposed that the concern would be set in order. That is the intention. I am sure that this amendment will be helpful both to the private industry as well as to whatever the government does. In such cases, it is desirable in every way. The honorable member referred to various companies which were mismanaged. I know many cases, but my own and government's policy is that they should take responsibility in such matters after careful scrutiny and examination, and that meets the points raised by some other friends too. We should not take over such responsibility indiscriminately. We are careful, and once a responsibility is taken, the intention is to perform it well. That is why it is not possible to take over many more concerns, yet it may be desirable, despite the limitations of the government, to take over the control and management of concern in the country's interest, and where the public interest is involved, the government cannot simply plead that its hands are full. We cannot shirk that responsibility, even public interest is involved. I can assure the House that we shall not hesitate to serve the public interest. Stop.